Welcome back to another episode of the Kings Bourbon Podcast here at Happy Hour Bar and Liquor Store. I am Tucker Schroeder. This is
Bryce Wilson.
That is
Shane Burks.
And we're super stoked to be back for another episode. We're super stoked to be giving this our third shot this episod, our third try.
What y'all don't know is we had a little bit of issues with episode 3 for whatever reason. You would think that the third time is the charm. It's been the curse for us. We had an audio issue, and then somebody forgot to plug the mic in, the receiver in. So we're going third episode, third run with the Three Kings. But we're happy to be back here, man, and it's all good. So we're gonna try this.
We're excited, guys. We're really excited.
Again.
Yes, again, for the Three Kings bourbon.
All right, so kind of transitioning into bourbon news today. Tucker, I think you're going to take that away, but we've got something special happening at Buffalo Trace, right?
Back-to-back weeks of Buffalo Trace bourbon news content. Last week we talked about, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, we talked about the Prohibition series that they were coming out with, kind of a innovative series of bourbons that were alluding to the Prohibition era. Now they're coming out with another pretty innovative bottle, Eagle Rare 25-year-old, which is insane to think about. 25-year-old bourbon coming from Buffalo Trace.
So 25 years, that means that it was barreled in 1998, right?
Barreled in 1998.
Wow, I was barreled in 1998.
All right.
That
is true. That is true. That is indeed
Yeah.
true. Yeah. So I mean, that bottle is older than all of us, and we both turned 25 in December.
Yep, in December.
So then Tucker's like 12. So
But the juice went into the barrel at the same time.
yeah. All right. So anyway, 25 years old. I mean, so my initial thought on that, I honestly, 18 is my sweet spot if we're going for older bourbons. That's just, I love an 18. Like, I like a lot of the renditions of 18-year-olds. 25 is old to me, man. Like, I feel like part of it is going to taste like number 2 pencils and wood, like just wood water. Like, I mean, I get it. It's cool. But I wonder if the bottle is cooler than it tastes good.
Bryce, you're going to know the answer to this. What's the 18-year-old bourbon that we
Old
had?
Fitz.
Old Fitz.
Yeah.
And that's fire. That's fire.
Yeah.
That's probably top 5 bourbon I've ever had.
It very well could be.
And we had it here at Happy Hour,
Yeah,
which was awesome. I don't believe that's going to happen. I truly don't. That Eagle Rare 25, from what we know, was aged in Warehouse P for most of its life. Now, I don't believe it was aged in Warehouse P all of its life cycle, just because 25-year-old bourbon, 1998, if I had to guess, that barrel was initially made for something else. You know, every barrel of bourbon that gets filled at Buffalo Trace, they don't know what it's going to be. They don't say, hey, that's going to be a Pappy one day. Mm-hmm. It could be, but it's not guaranteed. So I think originally it was maybe put out and then they moved it to Warehouse P in those climate-controlled warehouses. So I think the age on it will be 25-year-olds, but I don't know if we're going to get like 25-year-old number 2 pencil.
Because of that climate control potential. So for you all that don't know, you know, the entire point of bourbon with the aging process is the seasonal changes, which is why another reason Kentucky is so incredible for bourbon, because it's going to expand and contract with the changing of the seasons. Mm-hmm. So if it does that so many times with 25 years of age, it's going to taste so much like that wood. But with this being climate controlled, at least for some part of its lifespan, it's going to mitigate some of that wood, like, I don't know, woody water,
barrel
taste,
bitterness.
With still keeping a lot of that oak. But but it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I want to try it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to try somehow, some way. There's only 100 barrels or 100 bottles? 100 bottles at 10,000 a bottle is what it is. So
yeah, I'm wondering how many barrels they're because I mean you're really thinking about the Devil's Cut and Angel Share, like
I don't know
how much they're losing.
I doubt they'll release that type of information.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You know, 100 bottles, though, I would imagine maybe 1 or 2 barrels at least. So maybe at least 2 barrels. I don't know. So I think if one of us ever gets the chance to see it, I think that would be special.
I think one of us will see it,
probably
least with their eyeballs
at some point.
Immediate FaceTime in the group chat. Somebody's gonna call the other. We're gonna be so hyped just to even put eyes on that bottle. It's gonna be cool.
One would think, since it came from Warehouse P, that it would be P.
It should be P.
But I'm wondering, was this intentional? You know, that's my biggest question.
Yeah, I think no. to answer your question shortly. But then, yes, eventually after Buffalo Trace kind of came to its rise, late 2000s, they were probably sitting on this barrel, 12 years old. They're like, okay, well, let's try to get something that's 25-year-olds down the line. 2023, who knows what bourbon's going to look like, but we're going to have a 25-year-old bourbon.
Right.
Granted, Harlan Wheatley probably wasn't in 2010 saying, oh, bourbon's going to be as big as it is then, because that boom was, incredible. So I don't believe it was fully intentional, but I do think after a certain point, obviously it was very much intentional.
My hypothesis is that somehow or another, they didn't pull it before that 10-year age mark, and it was sitting there so it was forgot about 13-year-old or something like that. They were like, let's just let it go all the way.
Could have been.
That's my thought.
Could have been. Who knows? I don't know if they'll ever tell the story on that, but I do believe that probably wasn't planned at first, and then it became a project that 25-year-old Eagle Rare. I mean, who's not going to like that? So and the bottle's crazy.
It almost looks like a Japanese whiskey bottle. Some of those really cool Japanese whiskey bottles. So y'all go look it up. Go check it out. What we do know is intentional, and what we know that we do like is Bardstown Bourbon Company and their Origin Series. This one here on the table is Bottled in Bond, which we've explained in a separate video of what Bottled in Bond means. So go watch it if you don't know what that means.
Go check that out.
Go check it out. But this bottle here, Bottled in Bond, obviously it's 100 proof, and it is 6 years old, and they've disclosed their mash bill, which I love that they do on every bottle.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, I mean, we've talked about this amongst ourselves before, but I think there's some other distilleries that probably don't appreciate that because they don't necessarily want to disclose their stuff. Well, Bardstown Bourbon Company is like, here it is. And as a consumer, that's awesome.
I mean, I think the transparency aspect for Bardstown Bourbon Company it's superior. As a consumer myself, for them to be so open and honest about what they've got, it means what you want. You know what I mean? That's the point. Think of it this way. Like, when you go buy some food, a lot of people, they're going to look on the back and see what's in this. So, I mean, just as a consumer wanting to know what I'm drinking, what I'm actually, I mean, not to know, like, what I'm putting in my body because it's awesome. But to be like, okay, this is what this is. Hey, now I can realize in my mind, okay, this mash bill is this, age statement is this is what I like.
Correct. You start to learn that about yourself.
Yeah.
And as you know that, I mean, you don't have to do mega research. It's on the side of the bottle. It's 6 years old. I mean, we're looking at 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. That's awesome.
Bottled in Bond, Weeder, own juice.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is this bottle? It's checking off a lot of boxes for Bardstown Bourbon, and the bottle to me is just gorgeous too. Like I think Bardstown Bourbon's packaging in general,
awesome.
I think is super clean, super simple, gives you everything you want, and
Look at that tree on the back. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
I like that a lot. So let's go ahead and get a little nose on this, fellas.
Tired of looking at it.
Shane got to put his mustache on it. Every time I give him a glass, he puts his mustache on it.
If you don't put your mustache on it, you can't smell it.
Well, you keep your own glass in, Shane. Don't put it on
cats.
mine.
That's why I got
Cats, like their whiskers have.
Yeah, you got to put your whiskers on it.
Put deuces.
Well, don't their whiskers do something?
Whiskers, for cats, whiskers, it's like so they know they can fit into space.
Oh.
Like their whiskers, they can fit. Fun fact, I'm a cat dad, so y'all gonna hear me talk about Millie every now and then. But yeah, that's what it's for.
Man, if they don't just walk through there.
Initial impression on this nose, definitely can tell it's a weeder. I think it gives you some type of earth, maybe funk tones. I'm not personally getting any type of funk per se, but I definitely can tell that there's that wheat characteristic to it. And then I also get like a sharper pop of something, maybe citrus, maybe something bitter, I don't know. But then the rest of it for me is just a sugary, like regular sugar on it.
Yeah.
Bro, right off the jump, for me, super simple. It smells like orange Trident gum. That's exactly what it smells like to me. Orange, like rubbery gum.
I mean,
I'm getting a lot of sugar in this. I mean, like you said that as one of your points. This is super sugary, and I'm smelling the citrus as well.
But not the normal brown sugar that you would maybe get on bourbon. This is like granulated, like just put it in your coffee.
Yeah, I'm
sugar.
with you on that. Yeah, it's like a syrupy orange. I'm thinking like a high C.
Yeah,
like a high C drink. I mean, this is.
But
I will say this though, there is a funk to it. I'm wondering if that's the wheat or it's that malted barley or
Malted
barley.
Malted barley.
It's not the malted barley. It's a malted barley, but I'm wondering if that's what it is. But I'll tell you what, man. Let's go ahead and rank this thing so we can taste it because I'd like to.
Yeah, this nose for me, kind of simple. I do tend to like this nose profile a lot. Super sweet noses to me, I think, can be off-putting to some, but for me, I think they stick out. I think it gets me excited to try a bourbon. Not to mention, there is some different notes, so maybe a sharper, not like sharp in the off-putting way, but sharp in like I'm getting like a pop of citrus, and then you mentioned that funk, that earth tone. I think that is something that's not off-putting to me as well. So I'm right there at 3.7 for this nose.
I'm gonna be a little different than you, and it's not bad to me by any means. It's not bad, but it's just okay. I mean, it's okay. It's not like I'm not running back to the glass to sniff it again. Like sometimes you pour it and you're like, oh my gosh, like you want to keep smelling it. It's just all right for me. I'm gonna sit somewhere right at probably 3 crowns out of 5, just 3 flat, which is not bad. It's just not knocking my socks off.
Not super stellar for you.
Yeah.
When I first smelled it, I was a little off-putting for me because I wasn't anticipating that strong citrus. For a bourbon itself, I don't know if I actually. It's not that I don't like the scent. I might be a little bit more where you're at, but for an actual scent itself, I don't know if it's something that like I would want on me or just like something like around the house, whatever. Like just a scent in general, but the fragrance on it is awesome and I love it. So I'm gonna give it 4 crowns.
Wow.
So that's hot. So I'm kind of like this would be a good like bourbon candle, like a bourbon scent candle for you.
Yeah, I think I would really enjoy that. I think if you did the little cool deal where you cut it right up there, and this would be a cool one to do.
I would say this would be
awesome.
This would be a cool candle
that
bottle.
Might be something to think about.
Yeah.
But I think that would be something that I like. Now, as I said, scent alone for a bourbon, but scent in itself, 4 crowns.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to taste it, so
let's get into it.
I think we should get into that. Cheers, fellas. There we go. All right. Okay, I got a point.
Go ahead.
So I was getting a more syrupy, sugary orange on it, and I was definitely still getting the citrus, but I was getting more of a sweeter citrus. I'm getting a little bit more of a bitterness, more of an orange peel, but still it's followed by some sugar as well. I mean, it is, but I mean, I just took a sip, but it's kind of like the same. Like there's not a whole lot that's what it is. It's straight up sweet orange to me.
Yeah, that first sip impression for me, I think the nose flows right into that palate. Definitely getting that big sugar pop as well. I think the brightness or that sharp note isn't as sharp for me on the palate, but I'm still getting that like very big time like candy sweetness off of it, and definitely getting some of those, maybe slight sweet oak in the background there. But I think for the most part, what's standing out to me most is that sweet sugar, like granulated sugar.
When I tasted it, almost if someone handed this to me and was like, here you go, here's a drink, whatever, and they said that it was a cocktail, I wouldn't say that they were lying. And obviously I'd be like, man, you were a little strong on the pour here. But when I'm tasting this and visualizing it, I can see the glass with some ice. I can see the orange rind. I can see the some bitters in there because it does have that bitter taste.
Definitely some bitters.
Simple syrup in there.
Simple syrup in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really hitting on all cylinders as far as like a cocktail goes, which is I'm not really a cocktail person, but it's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's rank it, fellas. I mean, what are you guys thinking? I mean, Tucker, you want to start?
Yeah, I do enjoy this palette quite a bit. Maybe not as much as I am liking the nose. I think the nose is nice. I think you still get that wheat. I think it's a wheater when you drink on it. But I think it gives you a lot more than your typical wheaters out there. A lot more complexity. So I'm gonna stay right in that upper 3s, a little bit lower than nose. I'm right at 3.6 for this palette.
Okay. I'll probably be a little lower than you again. This is not, in my opinion, not a very complex bourbon, which is not a bad thing at all. It's extremely straightforward. I mean, it's very specific. So for me, if I'm like, I want kind of that, I'm desiring like an orange flavor. I'm desiring, this particular type of bourbon. I would reach for it. So
Right.
for that reason, it's going to stay on my shelf. With that being said, it's just okay. I mean, it's just not particularly geared to my palate, but it's well done. It's a good bourbon. I'm enjoying it. So I'm somewhere going to be around 3.2 crowns roughly.
3.2.
Somewhere around there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say it's almost, and I'm kind of clarifying a little bit more of like, it's like a buttery orange marmalade cocktail for me. That's kind of what I'm picking up. But I enjoy it, but I'm not necessarily an orange person. So, I mean, I like orange every now and then, but it's not like my forte. Yeah. So I'm kind of like where you're saying, Bryce, where you're like, it's not something I'm going to reach for every day, but when I want something that's exactly what I'm going to go to.
Get, sure.
But also I enjoy it where you're at, Tuck. So it's not like super jumping off the charts for me, but I'm going to follow you with the 3.6.
Yeah.
I think 3.6 crowns would be a good description for me.
Yeah. And if y'all are ready, I'll kind of start with the finish just because, like, my answer's already here. Sometimes it takes a second for me to really feel that finish or know what it is. This one, I mean, I'll go ahead and get into it. For me, it doesn't change. It is literally the same from the beginning to the middle to the end of the finish for me. Which, again, if you're enjoying that note, that orange, that sugar, sweet, bitter orange, whatever, this is great for you because it start to finish is going to be the same. But the finish lacks because it's literally just the same all the way through for me. So I'm going to be honest with you. 2.5 crowns is dead center. Let's go from 1 to 5. 2.5 on the finish. It doesn't do anything for me. Yeah. It's not, I don't dislike it. It's just nothing. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, it's there. I can still taste it, but I'm not, that's it. Yeah. It's really run-of-the-mill finish.
I think that for me, I think what I do enjoy about this bourbon, bottled and bond, 100 proof, 6 years old. So it's checking off a lot of boxes that we like, something that we would gravitate towards just off of a label, right?
Right.
I do think there is quite a bit of viscosity for 100 proof bourbon in here.
For sure.
So I do think it's sticking with my palate. However, what I do agree with you on is that it's a very flat line, sweet nose, sweet palate, sweet finish, not sticking with me as long. But I think where it does stick with me, you alluded to already, is like a buttery type of, so maybe I'm not getting a lot of flavor, but my mouth feels coated.
Yeah.
So
that's important.
I don't know if I'm getting a ton of flavor that sticks with me. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely not as high. I'm probably going to lean, I'm still in the 3s. I'm probably going to say 3.2. However, I don't believe it's, I don't believe it's that, it's sticking with me a little bit more than maybe you have alluded to it.
I think it's sticking. I'm honestly, it was a harsh ranking. I know it because it is good. But it's just the same. It's just, I don't know. I'm definitely feeling that it's staying with me, but it's not doing anything for me. That's my point. But what do you think, Shane?
I will say I differ with you guys. I am kind of getting like a change in complexity as far as the palate goes on the finish. It almost, and I want to say like 3 sips in, it was kind of like a boom. Like, okay, now I'm getting it. It tastes like bread.
Okay.
It's like the cocktail I was discussing, and then it's almost like, bam, wheat.
Well, that wheat
and that makes sense.
Funk-ish, like yeast, wheat. Like,
it makes sense. Get that. So, but I will come back to say, and I've said this about 2 different things for this. One, and this is odd kind of take here. One thing I do not like about beer is that it tastes like bread. I don't like that at all. I don't like that taste. So I don't like that. It tastes like bread at the end. Yeah. So I mean, that's like a funny kind of take on that. But if you do,
bread guy.
If you do like that, it might be good for you. But I'm going to give it 3 crowns. Okay. It's good. It's not completely falling off, not completely dissipating, as I would say. But it's good. Don't really care for the finish as much. Yeah. Just that wheat coming through. But yeah, it's solid. So 3 crowns.
Overall, you guys want to give it an overall?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do it.
I think overall, 6-year-old bottled and bond wheated bourbon from Bardstown. Here at Happy Hour, you can come in here and get it for $50.
Yeah.
Like,
sold here at Happy Hour. Come check it out.
I mean, there's not when you factor in those aspects to it, I feel like it makes it a lot better. However, I don't know if it's for everybody. So I think, and we'll get to this review as well, the counterpart to this bourbon, the other Origin series, the white label, the more rye, that's going to be more traditional bourbon.
Right.
So I think you have to be a wheater fan to maybe lean towards this one. I am probably partially a wheater fan. It's not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm probably going to dip this one right at 3.5. I'm right middle of the road to the threes. I think the nose and the palate are great, but the finish definitely falls off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm just middle of the road. I think it's great value for money,
Sure.
but realistically speaking, 3.5.
Yeah. For me, I'll go ahead and get into mine. Before you get into yours, Shane, I see your wheels turning over there.
I'm processing.
You're processing, so I'll go ahead and do it. For me, again, this is very specific to somebody's palate. Like, this isn't interchangeable. If you like this, you like it. Like, if you want an orange, citrusy, sweet, and bitter, this is for you. You should absolutely get it. The value is incredible. Again, it's a 6-year-old bourbon, 100 proof. Price point is great. I get all that. For me, for my palate, I can't put this anything higher than 3 crowns. So I'm 3 flat with it. With that being said, it's going to be on my shelf. I want it to be there because when I do want to taste something with this profile, this does a good job of achieving that citrusy feel, that bit of sweet bitterness playing around with each other. But it's just very straightforward. Just is what it is. Value prop is very good. But yeah, 3 flat, 3 crowns for me. It's good. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
But it's very specific for the time that I would want it.
Yeah.
That's all. So
since I'm over here thinking about this so in depth, I'm gonna give 2 scores.
2 scores.
Yeah, and there's a reason behind
all right.
it.
Let's hear what you got.
So yes, it is a 3 Kings first. So my actual score on this is going to be 3.5 crowns. I think it is solid. I think it's above average. I think that it's a really good bourbon. But my second score would be a 3.9. And the reason I give it a 3.9 is because I give it a 3.5 because I don't really like orange and I don't really like wheat. If I like those things, this bourbon is way above.
Yeah, definitely.
Way above par. And that is kind of like a I don't know, a prelude to whatever you guys might like. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there to say, like, if you do like those flavor profiles, it's awesome. It's hitting on all cylinders. But for me, and this is the score I'll stick with, I'll give it 3.5 crowns because it's good, but there's just some taste that I just don't really necessarily
for
care
your
for.
palate. And you know what? That's when I mean, there's even if you're like a food critic, you might be like, this food it's well made, it's good food, but it's not what I like the most.
Yeah,
so nothing wrong with that.
I think one thing for us that you guys will get to see as well, I'll go ahead and say, like, some of the feedback we've gotten is like, how do you compare your numbers to like other bourbons? Well, it's us. It's our palate.
Yeah.
So you'll see us go off what we think, but sometimes, just like I did, we can give a score based on like, hey, if you would like this, if you like these tastes, go get this because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, what I like, 3.5.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's fair. Well, you know what time it is. It's King's Court time, baby.
It is the King's Court time. And speaking of King's Court,
King's on the court.
the NBA just kicked off, fellas. Let's get into a big topic around the states for sure and potentially around the world. Who's the GOAT in basketball?
I have the answer. I know. It's LeBron. It's LeBron James. I was gonna say his middle name. I was gonna say LeBron something James. I don't know his middle name.
I think
Akron.
it's like, is it
Akron?
It's Akron.
Akron?
LeBron Akron James. Look, we've said this before amongst ourselves. All of our dads probably are going to say Michael Jordan. Actually, my dad definitely does.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, well, that's my GOAT. Not my GOAT, your GOAT, this era, that era. I don't care. It's LeBron James. Put him in any era. He's going to survive and thrive. Right now, okay, so he's in his 21st year right now. Have you seen what he's doing right now?
Yeah, no, he's going crazy.
Hooping. And his fourth quarter stats are crazy right now, too. So I'm like, you're telling me this man is 21 years into the league. His NBA career is old enough to drink bourbon. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT, man.
I will say LeBron is the GOAT. You know who he didn't get it done against, though? The Magic.
Oh, my God. Here we go. The Magic are a good, fun, young team. I get it.
God.
But
no, in all seriousness, I think it's maybe a 3-horse race, really a 2-horse race if you break it down. I think you got MJ and you got LeBron. I think Kobe's in the discussion.
He's in the discussion. People like him because I would say he's arguably the greatest scorer of all time.
Correct.
Yes.
And I think mentality. I think Kobe's one of those guys that Like if you talk about just like raw, just like competitor, like Kobe is the first one that I think about in the NBA.
The reason I'm gonna say it can't be Kobe is because Kobe will. Oh, he can't. No, excuse me on that. But Kobe modeled his game after Michael Jordan.
Correct.
So you cannot. I mean, you can. You can't say that someone who modeled their game after another person is the GOAT over that person that they modeled their game.
Unless they did it better. Yeah. And I don't think, I'll say this. Kobe's my favorite player of all time, hands down, not even close. He's not in the top 3. I love Kobe. I really do.
He's not in your top 3?
No, he's not in my top 3.
Who's your top 3?
Oh, man, that's hard. But he's not, it's LeBron, it's Jordan. The third spot, I fight with myself over constantly. It's really hard. I don't know, but it's not Kobe. I'm sorry. I would even take prime Shaq as far as his dominance in the game over Kobe. Now, I know they play together. I know that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. Yeah. I love Kobe. It's just I can't put Bean up there. But I'll tell you one thing. You know this might not be a discussion anymore because there's a young man in the NBA right now who might run away with this.
Think he'd be the future GOAT?
Victor Wembanyama, let me tell you something, man.
Bro, get out of here.
Let me tell you, just hear me out. I thought
you was going to say Giannis. Like, I would have been
I thought you were going to say Paolo Ventura.
No. Paolo's nice.
He's nice, though.
But let me tell y'all right now, Victor,
give
Victor some – wait, Victor's 19. He's 19. We have never, ever seen anybody –
handles are crazy.
His handles at that size and his ability to shoot the 3-ball. He said the other night – so he had like 15, 16. The other night, he got the green light, 38. No problem.
I'm not giving him his flowers yet, bro.
Bro, just wait. I'm just saying the potential is there.
So
the potential is there. That might be the end, the GOAT for real. Maybe.
I want to get back into the LeBron discussion. So one thing that I think is absolutely crazy is last season, LeBron went for his 5th highest scoring season. So when we think about now let's be legit. When you guys think about scorers, LeBron has more points than anybody. But if you think scores, I'm going to think of Melo, Kobe,
KD,
yep.
All those guys. Steph.
Yep.
But you're not going to sit here and be like, LeBron is an elite scorer. But he is.
Yeah,
but he is.
But on top of that, LeBron is there's no other player ever to be numbered in a top 10 of passing or assists and points.
Yeah.
There's no other player. It's LeBron.
I just don't know. I don't know if this makes sense in my head, and tell me if this sounds funny. LeBron is just legitimately like the best basketball player
all around
just to
play
of all time.
Everything defensively. I mean, he can play different positions, everything.
Like,
LeBron might be the best athlete we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's.
There was a serious discussion for him to go play in the NFL.
And if he actually trained for it, if he actually trained and dedicated, he might be the best tight end of all time.
I don't think people know how crazy that is.
Two questions for the comments that we've all personally had debates about. This one's not really a debate. Do you think LeBron James could play in the NFL? I say yes.
I think yes.
He could. Tight ends maybe a stretch, but I definitely think he play receiver.
I mean, we just recently
if he's blocking, I think.
We just had National Tight Ends Day. We saw Brian's video.
Here's the thing about it. There's
Knox.
Yeah, hey man. No, here's the thing about it. LeBron,
Kyle Pitts.
LeBron is a bit corny, but he's a good dude. I love LeBron, and I say corny as in like he's just funny, right?
Nah, he's funny.
He's funny. Like he's like not necessarily corny, but he's funny. He's goofy. But you know what? At the end of the day, he's the GOAT. He's a good dad, man. Grew up, man, with the whole spotlight on him, and look what he's done. We're looking at 21 years in a career. We'll never see that again. We might see another Jordan. We will never see another LeBron. And I'm going to end on that note, and I'm going to sign off because LeBron James is the GOAT, and I dare somebody to say he's not because you're wrong.
One last question, though. Who's winning in a boxing match, LeBron or Floyd?
LeBron!
In a boxing match?
It's Floyd Mayweather.
In a boxing, not a street fight. A boxing match?
Answer in the comments who you think would win in a 12-round boxing match.
Not a street fight.
Not a street fight, a boxing match.
Not UFC. Boxing match, Floyd. He's not going to be able to hit Floyd.
I don't even have the energy to get into this.
Yeah.
You can cut the episode now.
No.
It would be
all right.
Floyd Mayweather.
Thanks for tuning in to the 3rd episode of the Three Kings Bourbon Podcast. We love to have you guys back. We'll be back for episode 4. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate your guys' support. If you like what you're seeing, please check us out on
YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yeah, and one last thing, another shout out, another thank you to Happy Hour Bar and Liquor Store here in Nicholasville, Kentucky. You guys come check this place out. It's great. Thanks.
3 Kings Bourbon wishes you to drink like a king, but to act like one also. Please drink safely and responsibly.